and welcome to Legion Logs. My name is Mark Sinazik, and in this episode we will be looking at a mini-series called Noble House.
Ian Struan Dunross, I ask you formally, do you want to be Taipan of the Noble House?
Yes, sir. I swear by the Lord God that whomsoever has the other half of any of these coins, I shall grant him whatsoever he asks. Dirk Struan.
Signed by every Taipan since him. Add your name after mine.
And if I don't?
You'll sign by God or another man will. The curse goes with the blessing. Take it all or take nothing.
The miniseries Noble House was produced by Laurentiis Entertainment Group for NBC. It was directed by Gary Nelson, and it was nominated for 2 awards, actually. It stars Pierce Brosnan, John Rhys-Davies, Ben Masters, and Deborah Raffin. Now, Noble House tells the story of 2 trading companies, the rivalry between 2 trading companies in Hong Kong. Struans on one side, who are the protagonists, and Rothwell Gaunt, who are the antagonists in their story. And into this rivalry comes an American company, Parcon. And the 2 Americans who head that company are looking to make a lot of money. This story takes place over 1 week, and there is so much going on. The writer, James Clavell, based the story on actual historical events that were spread out over years, but he's condensed them into a single week. And he's obviously shifted things around to suit his story. Even the main characters themselves, the companies of Struans and Rothwell Gaunt, are based on actual companies still operating, I believe, in Hong Kong. Go into more of that later. But first, we will have a look at some of the characters.
Exactly what does Taipan mean, anyway?
Taipan means supreme leader in Cantonese, the person with the ultimate power. The European heads of all the old trading companies are all Taipans to the Chinese. But even among Taipans, there's always the greatest, the Taipan.
And that's Ian Dunross.
That is the Taipan of the Noble House.
Noble House opens in Hong Kong at midnight. There's a typhoon breaking over the island, and we see the Taipan of Struans, Alistair Struan. He is passing over control. He's stepping down as head of Struans, the company, and passing control to Ian Dunross. Dunross is a determined executive who's worked in Struan's all his working life up to that point. He's seen the mistakes, and he's got a plan, and he definitely wants to run Struan's. Dunross inherits a business, an empire in dire straits. The mistakes are going to cost Struans immeasurably, and so Struans takes this privately owned company and makes it public, which seems to go against everything that has been Struan's up until that point. The idea of taking it public is to build up the capital that Struan's needs to survive. 3 years into Dunross's reign as Taipan of Noble House, they're celebrating their 150th birthday of Struan's as a company. And at this celebration, he announces that he's about to sign a great deal which will invest Struan's with millions and millions of dollars, which they desperately need. And this is coming from an American company called Parcon. Parcon is eager to get into the Hong Kong market, so it seems like a great fit. However, we note from 2 people at the party that the head of Parcon, Lincoln Bartlett, is known as the Raider. And he's known for raiding and conquering companies larger than his own.
One of these days, I'm going to take Struan's down.
If you can, why haven't you done it before?
It's been my company's intent for many, many years, Mr. Bartlett. I nearly had them 3 years ago, when their previous Taipan's Joss ran out.
Joss? What's Joss?
Oh, Joss is a Chinese word for luck or fate. And a bit more.
Quillen Gaunt is Taipan of Rothwell Gaunt. He, like Struan, inherited it from his from members of his own family. He will do anything to protect Rothwell Gaunt and will do everything in his power to make Rothwell Gaunt #1, to put their company first ahead of Struan's. He's powerful. He's got no qualms about taking out enemies, destroying other companies to extend his own business. He's a planner, long-term planner, and he's cold and ruthless and calculating, but also incredibly charming. Both Dunross and Quillen Gaunt are extremely charming characters, as well as being very brutal as well. There were some definite differences between the miniseries and the book. There was a lot of subplots that were left out. There's KGB, CIA, MI6, all of that sort of espionage stuff is in the novel. The miniseries itself was updated. The original novel takes place in the 60s, and this one was updated to the 80s when it was actually shot. And in addition to that, all the technology is obviously updated. In, instead of using telex as they did in the 60s, they've got, direct phone calls and all this sort of stuff. So all of that has been updated with the storyline. There was a sequence in the novel where some MPs from England come down, and it links the story to one of the previous novels, King Rat, which was set during World War II. There's a character, Peter Marlowe, who is basically the author of the whole saga, James Clavell, who wrote himself as a character, sort of observant character amongst all these players, which is an interesting thing when you think about it. He was cut out from the miniseries purely just for time constraints. You'd literally need to do like a whole series to cover everything in the book, and I think at the end of the day it would probably be a little bit unnecessary. Because with a mini-series like this, you can focus on the main storyline, and probably the most interesting storyline, I think. Everything else adds depth to the world, but what we're really there for is the conflict, this rivalry between Struan's and Rothwell Gaunt, and that's what they focus on in the miniseries. And with the two lead actors, Pierce Brosnan and John Rhys-Davies, we really get to see those two characters really come to life. It is really good to watch. Literally, those two guys steal the show in every scene.
Ah, Cullen. How did you do on the day?
Oh, very well, thank you, Ian. Very well. Yes, my partners and I are quite satisfied.
Oh, you have partners?
Oh, yes. One doesn't mount a raid on Struan's lightly. One needs very substantial financial backing.
And you do?
Well, fortunately, Struan's is roundly detested by a lot of good people. Well, yes, Ian, my backing is impressive. I'm sure if you knew who it was, you would agree with me. You're finished.
A man can get burned by selling short in such a volatile market, Cullen. Don't you think so?
Well, it sure as hell isn't like the New York Stock Exchange.
Are you selling short, Mr. Bartlett?
Not personally, not yet.
Well, you should. A lot of money to be made in a falling market.
So I hear.
And a great deal of money will change hands with control of the noble house. What do you think of a raid, Hong Kong style?
You know, a raid is a raid wherever, but you never know until you've won and all the votes are counted. And as Ian said, sometimes you can get burned.
Noble House was nominated for 2 awards. It was nominated in 1988 for Outstanding Art Direction, and it was nominated for Outstanding Cinematography in 1989 by the American Cinematographers Association. I haven't gone into too much detail in regards to actually the plot and directly what happens. I haven't given any spoilers in this. I've avoided spoilers. There may have been 1 or 2 snuck in. You know, this is basically a spotlight, a highlight video. Basically, I'm wanting to bring this to your attention, and if you like what you've heard, and what you've seen, as I've included clips, you know, throughout this thing, then hopefully you'll check it out. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's a great mini-series if you're looking for something to binge, if you've got a day to waste and you want some cool bit of 80s to watch, then this is a great piece to watch. Definitely recommend it. Now, it is available online. You can buy it on DVD, Blu-ray. Look out for the 4-part series. There is a 2-parter out there, but that's a sort of badly edited version, and you want to stay away from that. You want to go for the original 4-part edit of it. That's the superior version, and it's one I definitely recommend. Also, I think the you know, the transfer is a lot cleaner there than some of the other sort of more cheaper sort of knockoff editions I've seen. So yes, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed what you've seen. If you've seen our premiere episode and you're watching this, thank you. I hope you stick around for all the rest of the episodes. Yeah, this is a mini-series I grew up with. I watched it when I was very young. I don't know why I loved it when I was so young, but there was just something about it. It could have been the music. The music is exceptional in this, and I think I'll devote a special episode for you know, movie music, and I might touch on this again. I've got the soundtrack. The soundtrack is available on CD, so if you do watch it and you love it and you want to hear the music is definitely out there to purchase. I found it on eBay, and it was a bit pricey, but was something that I hadn't, you know, I've always loved. I didn't mind paying a few extra dollars for it. So yes, thank you again. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.
Dirk Stewart was a grasping, greedy bastard. So was all his line. Ian Dunross is no better.
Well, I don't have records, private records! That's how you... Listen, werewolf dumb. I want to know where you got the coin from. The half coin!